Hello, hello, everybody. So happy to have you here. I have a feeling this is going to be a very heartwarming conversation. I am joined by Stacey, and oh gosh, I don't even know where to start. Stacey, just tell us what you do and what your situation was like before you stepped into this leveraged business methodology that you're in with me right now.
Well, thank you. So I am Stacey Curnow, and I'm a licensed clinical mental health counselor and the owner of Asheville Family Counseling, a group counseling service. And gosh, when you say uh, take us back, I think it's really important for people watching this to know that I've been in your world since 2009, and I've been watching these inspirational videos since 2009. And so I really thought a lot about what I would want people to know when they watch this. And that is, my thought was, would it be okay if it took 10 years for you to get where essentially I am now? Because I joined your growth program in 2014 with just like the kernel, the seed of an idea. And, and
And for those who don't know what that program is about, is a Stacy, you weren't yet at 10K a month. And
no,
so, right. And so
it was
that
only
growth
the idea.
program, what's that? It was just an idea, right?
Yes.
And so the growth is about marketing and sales, marketing and sales, marketing and sales to get to 10K a month.
Yes, exactly. And so I spent the 2 years in growth program from 2014 to 2016 trying to build this seed, this idea. Because at the time I was a certified nurse midwife working in a busy hospital setting, wanting to get out of that, hours for dollars model. And so I had this idea of being a coach, of being a purpose and success coach. And I worked on that business. And I remember I was in a VIP day with you, and you said, I just don't think you're quite in your spot yet. And so I took that, and then I applied everything that I learned in the growth program to really completely change my trajectory from being a nurse midwife to a licensed clinical mental health counselor. And from there, that's when I skyrocketed. So I think it's really important for people to understand that they may come into your world again with an idea and growth, and that may not happen as quickly as, or that growth may not happen as quickly as they want. But
Yeah.
again, is it okay that it could take a little while? Because me at 30, first watching your videos, me at 40, stepping into the growth program, me now at 50 in the leverage and upper six figures, like, would it be okay? Yeah, to
Yeah.
take
I think
time.
we do a lot of like thinner thighs in 30 days in,
Yes.
and I'm the one who says it takes time. And I
Yes.
really appreciate you sharing the idea that, um, of what I shared all those years ago. There are some times when people are doing all the right things, but they are stuck. And what I've learned as a spiritual business coach, right? Because
Yes.
as I've learned from also working with tens of thousands of women, it is if it's not working, there's a misalignment. Usually in purpose, the purpose and the business are not aligned. And
Yes.
you took that coaching and you ran with it, and you got to six figures. You got
Yeah.
to making 10K a month. And that's
Yeah.
when we reconnected. That wasn't even a year ago, Stacey.
No, my gosh, it was in May of 2023 that I had reached the point where I was like, oh, now I'm ready for leverage because I was consistently making almost 20K a month from my counseling. Yes. So that was, but applying every lesson that I had learned from you. So even starting my business as a solo provider in my counseling practice, I was always thinking leverage, that this was, even though this was a
Yeah.
solo practice in 2019, it was going to become a group practice. That's the leverage model.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. So we're in January now. You came back into the Bold Heart world in May, literally just a few months ago.
Yes,
And
yes.
What were you experiencing? What were the things that were challenging you at six figures that made you say, I need to come back into Fabienne's world. I need to come back into leverage, into Bold Heart, because I'm struggling with this, 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 and this. For the person who's watching us, listening to us today, I think she wants to know, like, what made you say, I need to change something here. This is not sustainable.
It was absolutely, having heard you again for years saying there's going to be a time in your business where you can't do it all anymore, because I was the head cook and bottle washer of Asheville Family Counseling. I was the unpaid CEO. I was seeing the maximum of clients that I could see, and I knew that I could do more. I knew that I could have bigger impact and greater income and more freedom and flexibility in my schedule, because you had planted all those seeds essentially 10 years ago. So when I got to that point of consistently making $10,000 to $20,000 of income a month, then I knew, oh, this is when I go into leverage. And so it was in May of 2023 when I entered leverage, but then I couldn't even see it. I mean, your team has us fill out an initial questionnaire that says, like, where are you and where do you want to be? Like, where would you be in a year that you would declare yourself satisfied? And so there I was at the end of 2022, having made almost 125K of income that year. And so I had written on my form, oh gosh, if I were at 270,000 a year from now, I would be so happy. That would be so great. And it just reminds me of, I don't hear you talk about this as much anymore, but I remember this clearly 10 years ago, you talking about the Fabienne stretcher, that you will stretch us farther than we can even imagine for ourselves. So here I was in May thinking, oh, if I could at the end of the year be at 270K, I would be so happy. The end of this year of 2023, I was at almost 500,000 in income.
That's five times, Stacey. You went from 125 to 500,000.
I mean, I just have a chill.
In 6 months.
In 6 months. And I remember when I was, because again, your team quarterly asks us to, where are you now? And so it took me by surprise. So it was in September when the team said, where are you now? And I looked at the numbers and I remember saying to my husband, I'm like, what percentage increase is this? Because I'm not great at fast math. And he said, 400% increase. And I couldn't believe it. I said, 40? And he said,
No, I think it's a 400% increase. Did you ever think that would ever be possible to go to a 500,000 in like 7 months?
Of course not possible. Again, it wasn't in my vision. You put me on that stretcher. It was the Fabienne stretcher that made it possible. I could not have seen it for myself.
Wow.
Fabienne.
And I think it's the Fabienne stretcher, it's the team, it's the protocol, it's the methodology, it's all the leverage activators. But I also think it's the community that normalizes women being at a 500,000 in just a few months. It doesn't happen to everybody. I just want to be clear. We're not saying thinner thighs in 30 days, right? We're not saying everybody's going to go to a 500,000 in 7 or 8 months, but you're surrounded by dozens and dozens of women who are leveraging their business, and the goal is to 1 million with 16 weeks of vacation a year. How does that feel to be in this community?
Oh, it's incredible. It really is the community again, because even at leverage, we're also sharing space with people in your master's program. So again, leverage is for the 6 figures and beyond, but master's is for upper 6 figures and 7 figures. So they're invited, right? We have all these leverage meetings, but the master's level folks are also included. And so I'm rubbing elbows with these people who were once, again, where I was now at mid 6 figures, now upper 6 figures. So it really is, again, another thing that I remember you saying very early is what was once the ceiling is now the floor. And
what was once impossible is now easy. You're every day.
And that is so true. And I just think that you need that community of people who have done it before, because that's not my world. Like I'm not in other counselors that I'm in community with here in Asheville are not upper six figures, are not multimillionaires, right? And so it really does take that stretching outside of your own community, getting that access and that inspiration, because
Yeah.
it is powerful. I actually call it like a magical alchemy. Again, it's what you described. It's the methodology, it's the coaching and the community. That's the magical alchemy. You add those all together and then you get those astronomical results. I mean, that I believe truly would not have been possible without it.
I have chills just hearing it because it doesn't get old for me. If in full transparency for those of you listening, like before we hit record, Stacey and I had tears in our eyes. Like we had to go get our tissues because it's such a privilege to be. Yeah, I have mine too. It's such a privilege to witness you stepping into your magnificence as a business owner, to make your own money and lots of it, to increase your impact in people's lives, and to pay yourself, to go from unpaid CEO to paying yourself to and I want to unpack like how did you, and you're not even through your first year. And
No,
this program is a 2-year program, right?
months. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yes.
So you're on your way. So I think you're going to get to 1 million next year. Um,
Okay, put me on that stretcher, Fabian. I still don't see it, but
yeah, but it's, here's the thing. The thing that always works is when people show up and they follow the recipe. You've heard me say this a million times.
yes,
Just get in my kitchen with me. Show up for every cooking class is what we call it. Like show up for every class and follow the recipe. And there's no way I've been honing, slicing and dicing this process for more than 23 years with tens of thousands of women. You've met so many of them because you've been
yes,
around. You see
yes,
this. It's not just like a fluke. You
yes,
see this all the time.
all the time.
All the time. Stacey, what is it that works? What did you do? Would you share some of the things that you changed to
Yes,
go from 125 and not paying yourself very much and working one-to-one hours for dollars, probably not taking much vacation
no, no, exactly.
and
All of it. Mhm.
all of that, and then now being at 500,000. I love the sound of that.
Sounds amazing. Yes.
You're you're probably working less and all of that, but like what shifts did you make based on being in the program?
Yes. I thought about this a lot because there were so many things. I mean, this interview could be an hour, but I really did think about what was the turning point, and it was in June. So I joined in early May, and at that time I had 4 practitioners working for me in Asheville Family Counseling as independent contractors. And again, I had never done this before. So I was just, when I started, I was offering very favorable to my independent contractors a 70% percentage of the income that they brought in, even though I was offering all the infrastructure, the rent of the office space, the administrative support. So that's where I certainly wasn't paying myself, and I was actually not making money at all. And so I remember I came into a June meeting with you, and I said, I think that this, again, I looked at it and this wasn't going to work, but I didn't know how to make it different. And again, I couldn't see it. And so I remember saying to you in that June meeting, I think I have to move them from independent contractors to employees. And I think I need to do it by the end of the year. So I was thinking in 6 months, and you said, do it now. And I will never forget you saying, essentially, the right time to do the right thing is right now. And that was so scary to me, though, because I thought that, again, talking to my independent contractors about how we needed to move them to employee status, that I was frankly, I remember talking to you about scared that they would leave, that they would
Yeah.
see that wasn't as favorable to them. And so I was scared, like, oh my gosh, I've just built up this practice to have these 4 practitioners. What if they all leave? And you said, that's fine. That's fine. You will
Okay.
lovingly release them, and you will invite in, right, the people who will be happy and excited to work with you in this new model. And I didn't believe you.
In the moment, it's a lot, right?
I was just like, but okay, I'm in this, right? I chose this program for a reason. There was that part of me that trusted, that did believe, even though there were these overwhelming fears and doubts. And after that meeting with you, I called an employment lawyer and set up the meeting with him. And then by the end of July, everyone was converted. And then it was August when I had the first $50,000 month. That was the difference from 25K to 50K with just switching them over
Yeah.
from
And
independent contractor to
I
employee.
just remember hearing what you were taking, which is very little, and they were getting but you had the brunt of all the things, but you weren't getting paid for it. And I remember all of us on the call. I'll never forget that day. All of us were championing you to raise your self-worth and set boundaries and say, like, this is not okay. This is just not okay anymore. And I think that you're like a super incredibly intelligent woman. And I think that sometimes, especially as women in isolation, we doubt ourselves. In isolation, we don't give ourselves the permission to say, this is not okay, because we fall into of fear of change. But when you're surrounded by somebody who believes in you and who says, this is not okay, and a whole community of people who say, Stacey, you got to have faith. We're here. We're backing you up. That allows you to make big moves that you wouldn't necessarily have made on your own.
Absolutely. That is an absolute fact. I mean, again, that's what happened. And so overnight, really, that was the switch from early June to August. That switch of 25 a month to 50 a month, now 60, 65,
Wow.
70. Like I can see this trajectory.
50K a month.
That makes all the difference, Fabienne. And I'm so glad that we can highlight that for people. Like, how does it happen? It happens by you saying definitively with so much conviction that I have to lean into your confidence. That is what I signed up for. And it's made all the difference.
So you changed your business model. You changed how you worked with your team. What other things did you do, taking the methodology, this proven blueprint that we have? What aspects did you also put in place?
Great question. And it happened in June as well. So the employee conversation happened on one of our group coaching calls, but then you did an activator in June about leveraging your business model. And you talked about how important it was to be seen as the go-to person in your field, the thought leader in your field, and that there's no better way to do that than to publish a book. And so that day, right, I was like, okay, I'm writing the book. And then I spent all summer writing it, published it on October 18th, became an Amazon bestseller. It's still selling well today. But more importantly, it has become a springboard to so many other, again, what do you call it? Streams, right? Revenue streams. Now I've starting in January, on January 18th, I will be leading a group coaching program that's really unheard of among couples. There's nothing else like it in Asheville and maybe the world. I haven't explored that yet, but we'll take couples through now my methodology, my 6, right, sort of activators that I have around healing attachment trauma and repairing your most important relationships. So that was huge. Yeah. To go from, no book, published author, and now thought.
I remember saying to you, like, please use what I learned from publishing the leveraged business. Use this, make sure you include this, this, and this so that you attract the right people, so that you build your list. So all of that. This, everyone, this is what I mean about somebody who shows up for everything. You're on like practically every Q&A call. You always have a question. You do everything. And it's really just this willingness to just show up, right? And just to say, like, it's okay to ask for help.
Yes, I asked for so much help. And again, you have always been available for just the right answer at the right time. And then the community too, because we all, I am so connected to this leverage community, and I have this amazing accountability buddy. And every day we're creating our success list. Every day we're saying, these are my top priorities. Every day we're talking about our top 3 wins. Every day we're celebrating each other. And I truly don't think that I could have published this if my accountability buddy every day hadn't been there for me saying, what are you doing today that's going to make this a reality? And I'm celebrating you. Each chapter that I wrote, each time, I was like, oh, I'm struggling today to find the inspiration. She was there, or the motivation. She was there saying, just write for 5 minutes, just show up, because these are all the things that you teach us. And so again, it was the daily accountability, the weekly Q&A calls with you, the quarterly activators, again, that made all of the difference.
Yeah, it's the thing that I created. I feel it like it's a child of mine, I have 3 children, but like this is my other child. I created it for us, for women, based on our need for oxytocin, the feel-good hormone, our need for community, our need for sharing, our need for feeling empowered and celebrated by other powerful, heart-led, generous, kind women who want you to succeed as much as you want them to succeed. The strategy is there, the accountability is there, the regular times to get out of your office, to work on your business, all of that has been strategically put in place for moments and stories like yours, Stacey. I want to ask you what you think is, so you're, let's say 7 or 8 months into the program. You haven't even finished your first year. What's possible for you at the end of the 2 years? I hope you'll join us in Leverage if it ever makes sense for you. But let's just focus on at the end of the 2 years. What do you think is possible revenue-wise for you?
Well, I was very interested to hear you say you see me at 1 million because, again, that isn't something that I imagined in 2 years. I did imagine in 4 to 5, and so 2 years is.
We're going to do it much faster than that.
We'll have to do another recording, another interview.
I want to. It's actually one of my things. Is I used to wait until the end, but there's so much learning that somebody listening to this can be like, oh, so Stacey was here in 2009 and she was here and then here and then here. And it's like this evolution that I think is super helpful for people to see in real time.
I really hope that they do, because again, the thinner thighs in 30 days is real, that we think, and I think I've heard the saying that we overestimate what we can do in a year, but we underestimate what we can do in 5 years. And I think people do give up too quickly when they don't get that success in a year or 2. And so I hope that my story does feel inspiring to people who maybe feel frustrated or disappointed or think that there's something wrong with them, that they haven't achieved that 6-figure success. And so I'm just going to leave that there. And getting back to the question about what's possible for me, I'm so curious about that too. But I am allowing myself to see, right, multi 6 figures, upper 6 figures, 1 million in 2 to 4 years. And though I'm really excited about, and this is something that you teach so well, I think that what I am doing in my group counseling practice is the leverage model. And it has created less time for me, that I have to be doing the actual counseling. I am working much less. I used to see 20 to 22 clients a week. I'm now at 16 to 17 clients a week. It used to be a big deal for me to take 2 weeks off a year, like just 1 week here and 1 week there. for the first time ever in October, I took 2 full weeks off, and my business just hummed along beautifully without me, because you teach, right, that you need to have your second in command, your right hand person. And I hired an amazing practice manager who does make sure that everything runs smoothly without me. And so then that allowed me to also, I just got back from 2 weeks in Aspen skiing with my husband and my son. It was extraordinary. So again, I wonder, that there's a part of me that, again, this time last year would not have imagined that I would have essentially taken 4 weeks off consecutive. I mean, back to
Short
back.
span, right?
Exactly. I would have never thought that was possible. I would have thought my clients will never allow it. They will mutiny, but they were fine. They were fine with it. So again, these are things that you teach us, that they will be fine, that you create the business and the life you love. And so that is what has happened in just 6 or 7 months with you. So what's possible in a year? Again, Fabienne, I'm like, get back to me, because I don't know. I'm just so curious. But what I would love, right? Because again, I think I've created the leveraged model in my group practice, but I would love to build an online program based on Repair Your Relationship, the book, taking large groups of people through my methodology, really, again, modeling your business model, which is so much is available online. You have this incredible treasure trove of resources in the leverage business model online. What do you call that? Like, it's just this huge,
Yeah, the resource library. Yeah.
the resource library, a huge treasure trove of resources. And then you meet with your members every week. And so I would love to, with this Q&A, I would love to model that with couples, taking them through my methodology, answering their questions, providing real-time support weekly, and then maybe doing quarterly retreats. So if you were to ask me, okay, what's really big, it would be creating an online program as robust as yours is in leverage.
I think you will do it.
We'll
I
see.
think you will do it. There's so much potential for you in terms of your business model, in terms of your marketing. Like, you created with the book a marketing asset, as opposed to, how I teach, create marketing assets, not marketing activities,
Yes.
because then those things live in perpetuity and people
Yeah.
can access them at any time. You can have your content be online. You can create a year-long program like mine is. You can create workshops based on your book that are led by other people
Yes.
several times a year,
Mhm.
all over the world. Like, let's just say that you will definitely be at 1 million by the end of the first 2 years. And then I wouldn't be surprised if you were at multiple seven figures within a couple of years after that.
Oof. Okay, from your mouth, right, the universe's ears. I mean, it really is. Again, I just am covered with chills, tears in my eyes to think of where I was again in 2009 and 2014, of not having been able to imagine this, and in 2024 to be stepping into this reality. I mean, it's a reality now, and I'm so grateful.
Yeah. It's, it's in your, I always say this. There's, I have an acorn, glass, thing of an acorn. The, the DNA of the oak tree, is in the acorn. The DNA of that version of you, Stacey, and everybody who's watching and listening, you have the same DNA, that it just needs to be unlocked. When you do I have I have a clementine on my desk, but imagine that this is the acorn and you put it in cement. It has let's say it's the acorn. It has the DNA of the great oak tree, but if it's not planted in fertile soil, if it's left here on my desk, it will never grow into the great oak tree. And what you have done, Stacey, is you've put yourself into the right environment that will activate the acorn, the potential within you, and then naturally being fed the right resources, the equivalent of water and sunshine and food for your business, for your mindset, for your stretching what you believe is possible for yourself, for giving yourself permission to step in, for believing that yes, you can do it. You got yourself into that fertile soil by joining us. So all of the credit is yours for just saying yes to your bigger future. And I'm celebrating you like crazy, and I can't wait to see what you accomplish next.
Oh, thank you so much. I will just say, I think that that's a beautiful metaphor. And so I would love to just leave one last message to people who are watching this. Yeah, never doubt that you have that mighty oak in you, because I was certainly there in 2009 and 2014 thinking there was maybe something defective with my acorn, that it wasn't growing in the way that I thought it would, but it just needed that fertile soil. It just needed to, again, to kind of, maybe it needed to be a little bit more dormant, as it was activating under the earth. But again, once we started adding the fertilizer, the sun, the water, in the right conditions, I feel that mighty oak springing out of me. So I love that metaphor. Thank you so much for sharing it, Fabienne. And I hope that it also provides that comfort, that reassurance, that inspiration to people watching this, that it's absolutely possible. Everyone has that mighty oak in them.
Yeah, I have experienced this myself in my dark nights of the soul and in my moments of plateau and stuckness, thinking, is this right for me? And the answer that I've gotten each time is, you're not meant to stay here. You're meant to go to the next level, but what got you here will never get you there. So you need to find a new environment. Yeah. And I just want to share with you, Stacey, that while you watched those videos close to, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, and they inspired you, you have just inspired countless women to see a bigger future for themselves, to believe bigger about their potential. And I just really want to thank you for sharing your story today. I can't wait to catch up and see what's next for you.
It's such a pleasure and an honor, again, to think that I was the person watching the video and now I'm the person on the video. Again, mind blown. Thank you for helping me create that.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Stacey. Here's to you activating your potential for greatness.
Thank you so much.